Got something. There we go. I got it now. Audio. There we go. That's important. All right. So I just got back on the dyno here. This car is ice freaking cold. I'm going to connect to the EMtron here. And I want to talk about ratings. Turbo ratings. Man, they don't rate them like they used to. Let's start with that. Holy shit. All right, I'm connected. What's my temperature? Engine temperature 41. Air temperature 6 Celsius. Okay, so my EMtron is displaying engine temp in Fahrenheit and air temp in Celsius. All right, let's change that. I'm just gonna make it. All. I'll just make both temperatures air temp imperial because I want to check these sensors. The thing hasn't run. It's been sitting here all night. They should be really, really close to the same if they're scaled correctly. Okay, 2 degrees. That's not bad. That's not bad. I wish it was a little closer than that, but I mean, 2 degrees isn't too bad. Let's check this here. Okay, let me bring this up for you guys since I somehow keep forgetting to do that and make myself small. All right, do I have any logs? Let's pull up this last log. I want to show you guys something. All right, turbo ratings have gone to bullshit, and it's really annoying because people go, "Oh, this turbo is rated for 900 wheel horsepower." No, there's no turbo rated for 900 wheel horsepower. They're rated for what they say is crankshaft horsepower, which is brake horsepower or whatever term you want to use for it. But let me show you one. All right, so here we are. This is the last pull that I did on the dyno here. I'm at 285 kPa basically. Let me go where my peak horsepower is. I don't want to show you guys the graph. Oh, it's right at red line. Okay. Peak horsepower is right here at red line. So we're basically, we'll say 290 kPa. And we'll go to the boost screen here, and you can see my target boost is white, and my actual boost is right here. It followed along pretty well. My turbo speed is 144,000 RPM. Now, if you know anything about the G35-900, you would know that that is basically the speed limit of this turbo. So let me bring us to, I'm going to bring up the interwebs here, and we're going to look at the compressor map for a G35-900, which for some reason Garrett rates as 900 horsepower, which I find really, really weird because there's nothing about this turbo that says it should do 900 horsepower when you look at the numbers. And so let me bring this up. Let me put this on the screen for you. And I want you guys to see this so that you can understand how turbo ratings have turned into absolute shit over the years. Bloop. All right. I have Chrome attached, but it did not find it. There it is. All right, so here's Chrome. Now, what I want you to see here is that right now, at the peak RPM of 145,000 RPM, the absolute max flow this turbo can do is 82, 83 pounds. Now, back in the day, it was 10 pounds is 100 horse, right? So that would be 830 horsepower, 820 horsepower, based on where it's at. And that was a rough thumb rule that was relatively accurate when you get a turbo on a car and you test it. Now, they say the 900 is worth more than that, 82 pounds. Now, the reason I believe that this is the case is because this turbo now, if you look at the compressor map, at its peak flow rates, or at the limit, has higher efficiencies than the old turbos were. So I believe that they're rating it for more power than before because the amount of turbine energy needed to spin the turbo and get you here is less. That's what I think. However, where you're going to use this turbo is never going to be 900 brake horsepower. Like to hit this 82, you have to specifically have 14, 21, that's what, 19 pounds of boost? You have to have 19 pounds of boost at the peak speed of 145. Well, we're not there, right? We are not there. This car is up here at 145, and we're looking at about 79 So right on 79 or so, we're in this range, pounds per minute. Now, if we did the whole 10 by calculation, that would be 770. All right, so let's do some math here. Let me bring up my calculadora, and we're going to go calculator, and we're going to go, okay, so let's say that was 780 wheel. Now, these cars, especially this one, because it's got gigantic wheels and tires on it, is going to be about a 25% loss to the drivetrain. So if I do that, I get 585. Oh, okay, so that would mean that this car should do about 585 wheel horsepower where it's at right now. Okay, well, let's look at my dyno graph. Let's see where we're at on the dyno, see how close we are to that 585. I'm going to bring up my dyno screen for you here that matched on this guy, and you will see that I'm not there, but I'm close. So let me get this booted up here. I'm waiting for it to connect. There we go, accept. And there we go. Okay. And let me go back here to my OBS and get rid of Chrome. And we get this guy. You'll see right here, I've got 553 wheel. Now I got a little bobble up here up top, and a little bobble up top. You see it now. You gotta give me a second. A little bobble up top here. Looks like I could probably clear that up a smidge and get it, but that would add probably 20, 30 wheel if I clear that little bobble up. And then look at that. We basically perfectly match what the math says we should be doing. But people are going to freaking die on a hill and say, no, this turbo is rated for 900 horsepower. I can do it. Well, nothing on this compressor map says, oh yeah, 900 horsepower makes sense. Nowhere. It's not on there. And if you look at Garrett's website, let me bring that up too. Let me show you what Garrett says about this. People ignore this shit. They just tell themselves that it should be 900 horsepower. And they're like, oh, it's 900 horsepower. The 1050 should do that. Right here. Performance results of this product are highly dependent upon your vehicle's modifications and tuning calibration. The horsepower numbers represented above are calculated based strictly on the choke flow of the compressor map. Total turbo capability, which represents the potential flywheel horsepower. So what they're saying is, in a 100% ideal environment with the correct turbine housing, which is important, the correct engine, the correct fuel, and the ability to pull every drop out of this turbo, they think you can get 900 crankshaft or flywheel horsepower out of it. That's not wheel. That's not like roughly 900. That is, this thing maxed the fuck out. You might get 900, is what they're saying right here on the website. But people ignore that. They ignore that. They sit there and they're like, oh man, what do you mean you can't get 900 horsepower out of this thing? And it's insane to listen to these people bitch about it. Oh, you spent an hour tuning my car and you can't get 900. It's not fucking possible. I mean, I could lie to you. I could fake a dyno calibration or something and lie to you, but that doesn't make any goddamn sense, because you'll go to the track and you'll have 900 wheel and you'll run a freaking 11.5 second quarter mile. That makes no fucking sense. And so I'm not going to do that. All right, I'm going to test this cold start on this car, and then I'm going to touch on this a little more. Let me get this thing running before the battery dies from running here. Let me go. Log it. Ooh. Oh. Okay. It almost stayed running. That's pretty good. That thing fired immediately. That was that's not bad. 41 degrees in freaking with 85% ethanol. So it needs a little more idle air. That's a given. A little more idle air would be okay. You see how it's a little low on the RPMage. It's actually oscillating a smidge right now. It's struggling through. I think it's a little rich. I have my post start pretty rich, but hey, for 41 degrees and full ethanol for it to pop immediately like that, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I need to adjust the idle clearly to get it up a little higher in those initial few seconds, but I mean, it literally was like boom, and fired. So that is good news. But the throttle you see here dipped down to negative. I don't know why I did that. That's kind of weird. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my tuning, I'm going to get engine configurations, go to my idle speed control, and look and see. Startup hold time is 3 seconds. Well, so it should have stayed higher for 3 seconds, and it didn't. Okay, so that's annoying. We got lockouts here. That stuff is all fine. Target offset startup, it should have been 100 higher than my target, which is fine because my target was like 1200 or something, 1700. So it'd been 1700 after that. And so my initial table at 1700 is 6 point something. And you think that'd be enough, but apparently not, because now it's telling my idle airflow is 10. So we need to bump this guy up a smidge. Let's get some action up in here. We're going to go to 10 like this. And we'll do this. Okay, now I'm going to start it again. Obviously, I've lost my cold start, right? The chance now of doing a cold start is gone. I've totally lost it. This is not going to be representative of cold start anymore. You get one. You get one every day, maybe 2 a day if you have fans on it and you're blowing it ice cold, right? You need it to be cold. Cold start, you don't get more than 1 cold start a day. So this is going to be an unofficial cold start because it's already got heat in the motor now. Like, things have already changed. So this does not qualify as a cold start. But I do want to see how the recovery is after that initial bump. So let's do that again. Still not quite there. Oh, I didn't log it like a dummy head. Still not quite there. But it is rich. It is rich. I can feel it misfiring rich. So I'm going to check. I think here in torque, in my user torque, or driver demand torque, my cranking override is still pretty low. Yeah, it's set at 5 right now. Now that's 5% throttle. So let me just double check. So that's 5% throttle. That's position, and that's 4. So I really want this sucker to be up here for what it's going to idle at. Now, if I change this too much, though, what's going to happen is I'm going to add too much air during cranking. It might not fire off right away like it did a second ago. So I got to be careful with this because I don't want to make it to where it just doesn't fire off. That would be shitty. So while cranking, I'm going to go for 10. And then I'm just going to add a little flare to it like that. And then I'm going to save that. I'm going to power it down and try again. And then we're going to about this turbo talk again. I want to show you some other stuff, like what's happened over the years and why I think things have changed the way they have. Okay, on. Reconnect. I'm actually going to do this too. I turned this off. I'm going to turn my lambda sensor back on right here so I can wait for it to warm up. And then my startup, I'll have my AFRs right at my start because I want that too. So give me a second. Am I not showing you guys this? Okay, you are. You're seeing that. Let me shrink this back down a bit while my O2 sensor warms up. And then I'm going to... Is my O2 sensor warm yet? Yes, it is. O2 sensor is warm. All right, hit the log button, which is F8 on this computer. Ooh, almost. Almost. All right, so I'm going to take this. I have this map that I made where a very... No, not that one. Where a very... Not that one either. What the fuck is it? This one, where I aggressively pulled a bunch of timing out. Why is that flashing over here to -30? We're definitely not over there at -30. That's weird. It popped off the map to the right and went to here, and we're definitely not there. So that's interesting. Got to figure that one out. Okay. Check my log. See how rich I am. 775. Immediately 6. So I probably got a smidge fuel right there. See that? And then it drops down. This is good. 7.7 is good. That's fine. But it gets really rich again and then oscillates. So, oh wait, that's where it died. So that's where it was too rich, then died. I started again, and it's still too rich. Okay.
24 harness.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
That's what we're dealing with.
And that's the engine.
Yep. That's the. It goes direct to ECU.
Yeah.
ECUs are in the bay. They sit like that. Car's facing you. ECU's next to the brake booster.
This is a Bosch. It's a Bosch connector.
If we can get females for these, then it fucking win. But probably not.
No, I doubt that. Maybe,
More
but
like
I doubt it.
Huh?
Maybe, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
Does that turn the fans on?
I'll check. extended.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But what I can do is these are only like $160 on eBay. Is you can just pre-modify them.
Just cut them and repin them.
Yeah.
Yeah, to fit the
just cut them,
whatever.
Anthonyls on them, call it a day.
Yeah.
And then jumper harness. Or go direct to ECU and bay. Like you were saying, it's just feeded.
No, that's what I was talking about. Yeah. Direct and bay. Yeah. And then just connect the factor ones that need to go there.
Yeah.
The accelerator pedal would need to be extended, and the feed to like the dash and that kind of shit would need to be done.
Yeah.
But that's about it. And getting those jumpers we can get that.
Yeah.
All day long. So that part's not easy. So that part's easy.
Yeah, and if it's most of it is canned communication, then easy. The that Voodoo fucking whatever 4 and 6 still requires the DI controller.
Yeah, they all do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the 4 will do port, and it has 8 injector outputs and has fuel pump control, high pressure fuel pump control.
I saw that.
So you could do dual port on a 4-cylinder. I wonder how cheap they are. Because the Voodoo's what, 25?
I don't know.
I thought they're about 25.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So they better be fucking $1,600. If it pulls all the stuff, like gets rid of a lot of the stuff that the Voodoo does have. And it has onboard lambda, so that's cool. But I'll let you deal with this. We'll talk to you in a bit.
I did. All right. See if I can make that start a smidge smoother. Obviously, she's definitely warm up now, 123. But let's see if I can make it just a little better. Whoopsie. I want to lock this one now. So it goes up and then drops down a lot. And I don't like that part. I don't know why it's doing that. I know that the timing pull is some of the reason, but it drops down below what I believe it should be dropping down to. So if we go to idle here, and then you see it flares up. Throttle position is 12, and then immediately goes to closed. That's crazy, because if you look at here, my idle integral is 0, my proportional is 0, my derivative is 0, everything is 0. So none of the closed loop action should be shutting the throttle to fucking 0. I just don't see that. And oh, I bet my feed forward's still dicked up because I screwed with it when I was doing it. I bet that's what it is. Because I was adjusting the throttle blade, and so I changed my feed forward to like negative 100. Yeah, right there. That's what it is. And I bet that's making it overreact. Yeah, I did that when I was adjusting the throttle blade in the ECU to get the right voltages open and shut. I bet that's it. But now she flares and just stay flares. She stay be flaring. Let's see what happens. Okay. Okay, let's pause that runtime. Did it do it again? So here's our 12, 2.3. All right, well, it drops to 2.3, which is still weird because it should be higher than that. But that's better than nothing. 2.3% gives me what area? 2.3% gives me right here at 2.2% area. So our percent open area really close to this part of the throttle table. But this is 7 grams. Let's unpause this runtime and see where we're at right now. So right now we're at 6.4 grams per second. Okay. And we're at 1300. Okay. Right there. It's about where we're at. Like, that's almost perfect. It's like almost exactly where we want to be. But we're still getting too much dip after the start. And I don't see why. I don't see why the throttle is dropping to 2.3. Let me double check. Okay, so 2.2 is 6. So that's why. So it's seeing that. So I'm going to reduce that throttle. Like I said, remember I told you before, I got to be careful of this because if I'm too aggressive with it. Because this is percent. Oh, that's area demand. Oh, okay, that's not bad. That's not too bad. This is a smidge high still. Throw this back down. A little bit. Okay. So that's area demand. We go to TMF. Look at that. And god damn it. That's right on 6% on the servo. Okay. Let's make this longer too. Post start. Let's make it longer and let's save this. And let's see if that lets it flare more before the timing tries to bring it back down. Let's see what kind of flare we get. Look at idle position, 12.6. I understand why it goes that high. It goes to the clamp. It's not supposed to do that. That was a nice flare. Took too long on cranking though, but that was a nice flare. Didn't dip back down real hard. And that's one of the issues right now with the TMF and having this. Oops, other one. Come on. Oh, that's the wrong button. Having this guy set at 10, you see it goes to 12. So I close this. I'll do this. Then it shouldn't go to 12. It should go down to a lower amount. Reconnect. Okay, so now you see the idle position. It says 8.6. Let me turn this off again. Turn it back on. Make sure that's doing what it's doing. All right. So you see now the clamp isn't 12. Hey, that was much nicer. Nice little flare there. I wish it was a smidge longer, but that was still better. So let's bring these both to 9. Actually, let's make this an 8, like that. Let's see how that affects the clamp. All right, turn it off again. Oh, now it's 9.8. Okay. Very interesting how that clamp is. So that's too much. You can see that. That's too much. They cranked for way too long. All right, let's see how she does now. All right, that fired up way quicker. I don't know if you could hear it or not. That fired up way quicker. So yeah, having too much throttle will do that. So that clamp getting hit right off the bat causes problems. Pulls too much air in. That was way better. All right, cool. All right, let's go back to this turbo thing. I want to show you some more stuff on this turbo thing I'm talking about. Because unfortunately, like I said, so few people understand what the heck is going on with turbo ratings. So now we have what I showed you before, right? Now, when I was ranting about it, what I said was all the things ideal, right? And so all the things ideal when I said they have the maximum flow potential. Well, there's other parts of a turbo that establish flow, right? It isn't just the compressor that controls flow. The turbine side affects flow. So we go to the turbine side, and you see here they have the 6.1, 8.3, 101, and 121. Those are the options you have. Now this car has an 8.3 on it. Now, what you may have seen in the past is that I have a G37-900 that's capping out about the exact same point. 550 to 585 wheel is like right where the 900 and the 770 are reaching their limits. Now think about that for a minute. That should throw off a bunch of alarms. Why is a 900 reaching a limit the same time as the fucking 770? right? I mean, we can look at their compressor maps. We can go between the two compressor maps, go to the 770, and see the 770 does not flow as much as the 900. So let's bring that up really quick just so we can confirm, and then I'll show you what we're missing there. Oh, what's this? GX Race? Did those just come out? I haven't seen that before. Let's see the big red new that kind of clues me into that. Now I have a new turbo I need to try. 30, 900, 3770. Here we go, reverse rotation. Where's normal rotation? I mean, the compressor maps will be the same, but I wanted there to be the normal rotation. Let's see, up a little more, right there. All right, so let's look at this compressor map, and we'll compare them real quick. View. All right, now this guy, interesting. This one shows a flow rate of 73, which is basically 40 horse off of their claimed 770. While this one shows a peak of around 82, 83, which is 70 to 80 horsepower off. Interestingly enough, that number is a greater delta between these two maps. 150K, that's it. This thing's only got a 5,000 more RPM limit on it, which I find very interesting because it's a smaller turbine. This is a G30. But again, it's down this low boost, right? If you're at high boost, which you usually have to do to make more horsepower, you're running up here. And if you're at the speed limit, yeah, you're at 70%, but you see that we fall off of the peak horsepower. Now we're down here at 67 pounds. Okay, well, typically on this, with this turbo, right around 24 pounds or so, which is going to be, let's see, 14 plus 7 gives me 21, right around here-ish. Okay, at max speed, I'm getting like 580 something, 550 to 580 wheel. Okay, but this turbo is doing the same thing, this 900. What the heck's going on? Well, they both have 8.3 housings. They're both T3 sized housings. They're both 8.3. Now, the 35 has got a bigger turbine wheel, so there's actually more surface area for the nozzle around inside the housing. But I'm also pushing a heavier turbine, and it takes more energy to do so. So in this situation, with an 8.3 housing, like I got the 8.3 housing on this guy, there's no effing way I'm going to hit 900 wheel out of it, or 900 crankshaft horsepower out of it. There's just no way. It's not possible. There's no physical way I could do it. Now, if I have a bullshit dyno, like so many people have, that claim bullshit numbers and give you basically flywheel horsepower at the wheels, say like a dyno jet or a modified Mustang where they've altered the calibration, things like that, then sure, you're going to sit there and be like, yeah, that's sweet. Oh yeah, 900 wheel. That totally makes sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, especially when then they go and run 11.5 second quarter mile after getting their 900 wheel, right? It takes 500 wheel in a 3,200 pound car. It takes like 525 wheel to run mid 10s. So if you're seeing guys that have like a 3,500 pound car and they're running 11s or high 10s at their 7, 8, 900 wheel, it's bullshit. They've only got 550 to 600. That's just all there is to it. You look up a horsepower calculator where you put in your track speed and the car's weight. It doesn't ask you for torque. There's no request for engine torque. It doesn't give you a torque output. It tells you horsepower. It tells you how much power it takes to move something that big down the track in that much time. Because that's how power works. And those things are always going to say a much lower value than what some dude, some bro is claiming his car has. Because it just, US dynos are liars, basically. Now, this car, I'm going to spin this turbo faster than the max limit. Okay, my target for this right now is going to be 160,000. The limit's 145. I'm going to go to 160. I'm going to do that because, one, I know it can do it. And two, I want to demonstrate how much power it picks up with a little bit more speed and show you why it's really easy for tuners that don't have speed sensors on these to push them beyond their limits and maybe make those higher numbers, especially with a bullshit dyno, okay? So if I overspeed this turbo, my power will go up. Plain and simple, it's going to go up. So we're going to do that. We're going to overspeed a little bit. Now, we're not going to damage the turbo because I know they can do a 10% over their limit. Garrett made it a very conservative number. It's not going to be a problem with this one. But then what we're going to do when the other turbine arises, we're going to put a smaller or larger turbine on it. We're going to put the 101 on it, and I'm not going to change anything in the tune. Luckily, the EMtron fuel control is really good, so when it runs leaner at the same boost, it will add the fuel and it'll keep it from running too lean. It'll be really good. And then we'll see how much power it picks up. We're going to hot swap around the dyno, but the housing's not going to be here for a couple more days, so that'll probably be next week when that happens. We'll put it on the dyno with this turbo again. We'll do another poll, establish where we're at. We'll hot swap it. We'll do another poll and see what kind of power it makes without changing the tune. So that'll happen next week. Again, that housing's not here yet. But I want you guys to see what the heck is going on with all of these, dynos. Mainline for the win. Yeah, Jason, you got a great dyno, but you're also screwed because your dyno reads lower than the U.S. dynos do, and that means you can't tune. I get told all the time, oh, that guy can't tune. He only made 500 wheel on my car with this, 770 horsepower turbo. Like, that's what it's supposed to do, bro. And then they go beat the guys from the other shop down the road who had 700 plus wheel. I've had multiple customers smoking guys from the other shop with 200 less wheel horsepower and just pissing a bunch of people off. It's fucking wonderful when the customer is smart enough to understand that. But unfortunately, there's some dumb ones out there. I'm dealing with one of those right now. It's a bummer. But I try and educate all my customers. I try and educate you guys, show you what's going on, show you why these turbos some of those claims are total bullshit, and why you have to have everything perfect in order to get that rating, which is what they're telling you right there on Garrett's website. They say that. Now, if you go back, let's bring Chrome back up again. I want to show you this. If we go back to Garrett turbos, and we'll go back to older ones, and we go down to, let's go old dinosaur turbo. GT35-900. Here we go. This is the original 650 horsepower turbo. Everyone knew this turbo being 650 horsepower. Wait a second. 675? They raised it. They used to say 650. For decades it said 650. But let me show you. I don't see a disclaimer here. Do you see a disclaimer? I don't see a disclaimer on here saying it's the choke flow of the compressor, it's all it can do, whatever. I don't see that. All right, fine. So 675. Let's go look at this compressor map right here. Oh, that's configuration. Let's go down a little more. Compressor map right here. Hold on a second. That compressor map goes all the way to 69 pounds. But 69 pounds by new Garrett standards, that should be 800 horsepower. What's going on here? Why is this now a 675 horsepower turbo, but it flows almost 70 pounds? Look how close it is to 70. I mean, that's basically 69 and a half, 70 pounds. Now, hold on a second. What's going on? I thought that we had established before that 10 was 100. Now we've got more than that, and we're getting less power output. And like I said, they used to say it was a 650 horsepower turbo. But this guy that flows 83 is 900, and this guy that flows 72 is 770. There's some inconsistencies here. What the heck is going on? Yeah. So I just want to get that out there again, that turbo ratings are bullshit. Like, they're really so far off. It's all about ideal, and I blame Precision for it. I'm pretty sure it's Precision's fault, because Precision has their ridiculous claims attached to their turbos and never has compressor maps, right? So so you can't verify anything. You can't look at their turbo and go, oh, the compressor map clearly shows that it flows 75 pounds. That's at least a 750 horsepower turbo. You can't do that. They have no compressor maps. I don't know if they've added some lately, but back in the day they didn't, and they made all these ridiculous claims because they were just trying to outclaim the next turbo company so that their turbo will be the one that's picked. Oh, BorgWarner's got an 800, ours is an 850. We'll just call it a fucking 850. It might not make 850. It might be 780, but we're going to call it an 850. And so what's happened is turbo ratings have come in to the point where they're just completely dishonest, because now it's just all about claims. I got to claim more so I can sell this turbo, or people aren't going to buy it. And so turbo ratings have gone to absolute shit, and they're completely inconsistent, and it's now just marketing gimmicks employed. So the point where they have to have a disclaimer on the turbo power saying, look, if everything is perfect, yeah, you might make that. right? That's what it says. Everything's going to be perfect. Totally perfect. And you can make that. But we can see by the map, shit, that's a 76 millimeter turbo. Let's look at that. Look at that. 3900. Okay? The 3900. How big is the compressor on this thing? Well, here's a 3582. Here's an old school 3582. 61 inducer, 82 exducer. Okay? That's an 82 exducer. Back in the day, we used to only judge turbos on the exducer. Now it's all about the inducer. Oh, the inducer is what matters. And the inducer only matters because in certain classifications of racing, the inducer is how they limit the turbo you run. So now the inducer is everywhere. Oh, 62 millimeter right here. Here's the 900. It's a 62 millimeter. It's put there because it's a 62 millimeter class of turbo. The inducer is 62. That's a class of turbo. But the exducer is only a 76. Now, this difference between these two is what you call the trim. So you see the trim is different. But we're looking here, the velocity of the tips of that turbo are based on the exducer. And the velocity of the turbo is what throws the air out. The centrifugal part of a centrifugal compressor is slinging that air in and stacking it up against the restriction. You're throwing air at it, right? I'm literally using centrifugal force. I'm slinging air. I'm throwing air into the pipe. That's how these compress air, okay? Now, the blade tip speed on this turbo is, and remember, speed's not RPM. Speed is velocity. Speed is how much distance you cover, okay? And that's going to be based on the diameter and how fast it's turning. So now, I can only spin it as fast as this little guy will go. Well, let's look at another turbo real quick. Let's look at a turbo that we know used to be judged by the exducer, back when they used to call them the exducer size. So we got like the GTXs. The GTX was exducer, just like it used to be forever, exducer. So 3071, 30 turbine, 71 millimeter exducer. But I want this guy right here. Here's a 3076. 3076. Let's go look at this exducer. It is, boom, 76 millimeters. Okay, same size. This is different though, 4 millimeters smaller. So, and look at this trim. See this number here? 58. So as this departs the 76, this trim number gets smaller. As it gets closer, the trim number gets higher. All right, so let's look at this compressor map really quick. That was the wrong button. I hit the configuration guide like a dummy head. I want this one right here. 145,000 RPM. Hey, that's the same speed as this 35-900. 145,000 RPM because the exducer is the same. So the speed limit is the same. What's our flow rate on this guy? 67. So hold on a second. So it's 67 pounds. Wow, look at that. 67 pounds. And what are they claiming that the power output is of this turbo? 750. 750. Wow. Over 67. So now they've gone 80 horsepower above the maximum flow rate of the turbine. What? Of the compressor? That's crazy. But look, they added the disclaimer again. Everything has got to be perfect. Everything's got to be perfect to hit this number. Come on now. I mean, I think anyone with half a brain. Oh, I fucking gypped you guys again. I took Chrome down. Sorry. Let's go back to the graph. Anyone with half a brain can figure this shit out. Like, look at this. Let me show you. Here we go. 145K. Bloop. And 67 pounds per minute. They almost 67.5. But they're claiming this turbo is a 750 horsepower turbo. 80 horsepower to the right. So they're claiming it can flow. But shoot, even at the max, it's only 61% efficient. At the max flow rate is 61% efficient. And somehow we're getting 150 over that? Well, what the heck? And shoot, I mean, the disclaimers here, right? Oh, well, if everything's perfect, you can maybe make 750 at the crank. Uh-huh. Okay, and here's this right here. 58 inducer, 76 exducer, same as the 900, right? The 3900 compressor here, attached to that. Let me go back to the thing. Let me go back to the 900s. Anyway, so 58, 76. Here's trim 58. Like I said, those two are how you figure the trim out. Then we'll go back, and then we'll go. I'm just gonna hit this guy to thin the herd a little bit. G series, and we'll go back to the 3900. Doesn't matter. They're both the same compressor, with the same compressor map, with the same compressor limits, because they're basing these speed limits on the compressor blade, on the tips. Disclaimer. There you go, 76 millimeters. So somehow, with the same exducer at the same exact speed, just bumping this up 4 millimeters on the new side added 250 horsepower? Or what? 150 horsepower to it. 150 horse. By a 4 millimeter larger inducer. Same speed, same amount of rotational tip speed as the other one. Again, everything's got to be perfect, right? And perfect would be, if I want this thing to flow, its maximum flow, I have to think about the exhaust side. Here's the exhaust flow chart. This is important. Here's the 8.3 right here. Okay, this is our 8.3. Okay, now we have these other options for more flow, and we're down here at the second largest step. So would these even be options if this thing couldn't even flow up there? I'm saying no. I'm saying in order for us to get the maximum out of here, we got to go bigger in our housing to reduce the restriction to actually get the maximum flow out of this. That's what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is that when you increase this housing size, the speed of the turbine drops and back pressure drops. And the back pressure drops, then air into the engine goes up and horsepower goes up. I have all that, cover all that in my comparing turbos video. But the point is that right now, this 35-900 with an 8.3 housing on it has no chance of making 900 at the crank. No chance at all. Discarding the fact that it's an EJ, right? That alone should lop off fucking 15%. So when someone says this should make 700 wheel or whatever, no. No. It's just not possible. And you can see it right there. It is not freaking possible. How much do you think blade design actually improved the flow compared to the... I mean, obviously it must have. Right? Like, it must have made it... made an improvement. I mean, they do better for the same... They do better. Right? And if you think about it, just from the aspect of that the inducer now is 4 millimeters larger, that's a bigger pipe to feed to the turbo, to that blade. So obviously it makes a difference. And the old GTX wheels and the new G-Series wheels are not the same. They're a little bit different. So obviously the fin design is making a difference. Also making the wheels really thin so they don't occupy a lot of space in there, but they can still, still strong enough to grab air. All that makes a difference. But the point I was making that the peak speed, the end of the speed is the same between those turbos. And the fact that they're able to get 150 or so claim more horsepower out of it seems a little unrealistic. But the GTX 3076 Gen 2, that turbo fucks. That turbo rips. And it's one of those turbos that, like the G-Series, is really easy to overspin if you don't have a speed sensor on it and not realize it. And we did that. I oversped the shit out of it on Josh's car, not knowing we were doing it, and made like almost 600 wheel on it on this dyno, which is ridiculous. And that car was fast. And that turbo did not last long. That turbo eventually took a shit. I say eventually, but eventually it makes it sound like it lasted a while. It did not last very long. That turbo took a crap. And then he put he's got the 3900 on it and didn't make any more power. Didn't make any more power. None. And a lot of that, and that was at the exact same rating as I'm telling you, as this car is at, as the other cars with the 3070s are at. It's that, because they're all in the exact same turbine housing. They're all in the A3 housing. They're all just, we're at the limit of what that housing can do. For the turbo speed limit. Now, I'm going to push this one a little harder. We're going to go a little harder with it, and we're going to see if 10% can give us more flow. How much more flow it's going to give us. And if that 10% is comfortable and it's the right amount of horsepower, it's not going to be, it's going to be low. Then we are going to keep it, but overall the plan is to kill it. All right, so this here, this is not target, this is compensation. This should be, yeah, my duty cycle. So it's pulling duty cycle off as we approach 120K. At least it's supposed to be. But look at that old log, it didn't show that. Let me change these anyways. I want to add, let me delete this one. Delete this guy. Where's my delete key on this laptop? New laptop. I don't always have it. Okay, so I want 130, 1, 2, 3. And then I want 140, 1, 2, 3. Like that. And then I want 160, 1, 2, 3. And I need more. I'm going to get rid of this one, and this one. 150, 1, 2, 3. 170, 1, 2, 3. Oopsie, I didn't go to the side. Thought I did, but I did not. Okay, yeah, you can interpolate. It's fine with me. I don't care. I'm going to change the values anyways. We're going to go 0 and 0, and we're going to set a hard limit over 160. It's going to immediately start dumping duty cycle once we get over there. In fact, I'm going to go minus 60%. I don't have 60% to give because this thing is nowhere near that. That's what we're going to do, minus 60%. And that'll keep us from exceeding our limits. All right, and then we're going to go to our target. Make sure I don't have anything set here. I'm pretty sure I don't. Yeah, okay. And then we'll go to boost target. And we're going to use table 3 today. And I'm going to just add it up top. We're going to taper the boost in towards the top speed. I'm not trying to lift the heads off an engine. So we're going to do this like that. All right. Now, if you guys haven't seen, wow, I can't feel the pedal. I'm wearing a boost today. What the hell's going on? I can't feel the gas pedal. Oh, the floor mat was on top of it. If you guys haven't seen this car, why is the dyno brake on? That's weird. I'm going to turn that on. Let me bring up the stuff so you see the right things. I'm still showing you chrome. There we go. This one does not have EMAP. No, I would like this one to have EMAP. I would totally appreciate it if it did. But it doesn't. All right. Yeah, that's much nicer. All right. So if you guys missed before, I have this one set up. I'm running 3 fuel models. I'm running straight TPS. I'm running a speed density map based, and I'm running TMF. Now the straight TPS is only used when the person hits it into I mode. And that's just a fail-safe mode. If something's going wrong, the owner can just punch it down, goes into I, and it goes straight TPS. Now I already did a bunch of the tuning yesterday. I didn't stream that yesterday, where I made all of my air masses for all 3 modes just lay on top of each other. So right now, all my air mass modes are all basically the same. TMF outflow and everything is all perfect with speed density and all that. And the fuel was within 3 or 4% through the entire power range. I still had a lean spot in the mid-range before the boost came in that I had to work on. I threw some stuff at it last night before I quit. But that's where we are. So right now I'm going to Sport Sharp. EMtron does that. And I'm targeting the high boost map that you saw me doing. All right, let's do this. Oh, you know what? Before I finish that poll, I need to turn the front fan on. Alright. That made very low horsepower, even for a partial pull. .4 degrees of timing. What the heck? Did I trip knock sensor or something? Some learned from before, but it's not that. That's just cylinder 3, and cylinder 3's been loud before. I just had to adjust it some more. But what is going on? Why 1.3? Oh, boost went up quick. Look at that. Wow, 280. Okay. That was really good. Boost was screaming up. Wow, I can't believe it came in there. Look at that. That's almost 30 pounds of boost by 4,500 RPM on a 35-900. Look at that. 280. That's almost 30 PSI. Actually, here that probably is 30 PSI because this is absolute. We're 2 pounds less. So we're really close to 30 pounds of boost by 4,500 RPM. Wow. And that's why it pulled all the timing out. Let's look at my map for ignition. Should be on 2. This says 7. Okay, that says 7. So we're in mode 3. Cow slot 3, main V table 2, ignition table 1, overrun boost, and all that stuff is fine. Target boost is 3. I wonder if I was approaching the limit, or if I just started to hit a limiter. Let's go to my limits page. No, I'm not that limit there. Huh. I saw the traction control light come on, but I'm pretty sure I don't have that hooked up. I have a 2.5 and daily GTX of 82. Basically, it's an absolutely great turbo for daily autocross, but seeing the same turbo size as the G series pull quicker and is more efficient. Hey Dom, hello as well. Any updates on product developments? I guess depends which product you want to know. I'm always working on products all the time. Okay. All right. So right now, apparently, I'm missing something. I'm trying to figure out why my timing is so low when I don't see a reason for it being so low. What's ignition table 1 say? Ignition table 1 is that low. Did they fucking put pump gas in this and not ethanol? Those fucking idiots. God damn it. What the fuck? Oh, it's not one thing, it's another. Jesus Christ. Well, that's why. That's why. Then when they told me they added 5 gallons of ethanol to the tank. They clearly added 5 gallons of pump gas to the tank. Unless the pump ethanol is really bad right now for some reason, because 30% ain't it. Motherfucker. I'm going to cuss somebody out. I'm going to unplug the mic for that. Just letting you guys know. think I'm back. All right, I see the mic boom moving. I thought it was the main offender that was going to come in and honk the horn, but it was just Lane. So I didn't cuss him out. Anyway, so fuck. Right now I'm at 30% ethanol. So what I'm going to do though is we saw the timing was really, really conservative. I had it set really conservative in the pump gas map. You can see right here. There's a thing you can see. Let me double check. Make sure you can see it. Yep, you can see right here that it was negative half a degree here, and the rest was the ethanol map, and then only at 30%. It ain't much here. But I think that even at 30 psi, this is too little timing. So I'm gonna make it 3. I'll make this 3, and I am going to finish the pole right here, and then you're going to see potentially just what a couple degrees makes a difference, even just right here in this mid-range area. I'm just going to do this a little bit, smooth that into it. All right, and we'll see what a couple degrees does. Granted, you can see only part of the map, part of the dyno graph, because I aborted the run. It felt funny, and I saw that the fans weren't kicked on, so I aborted the run. Let's bring this up. Let's put this away. And no other changes, just 2 degrees. Well, I guess it's like 2.5 technically, right? 3, 4, oh, 3 degrees. All right, let's do that. Oopsie. I gotta start my log. I gotta turn down cylinder 3. It's still pulling timing like crazy. Look how noisy it is. Let me pull up this thing so you can see it again. See how noisy it is. Cylinder 3 on this one, on this engine, has always been noisy. I'm not sure what it is, but down here on the lower left, it's the blue trace. You see that blue trace just right in that threshold line. But cylinder 3 has always been the loudest one in this engine. Now, to be fair, that doesn't mean that it's cylinder 3. Okay, that's what's important to think about with this. It doesn't mean it's cylinder 3. It could be a valve event that happens during the knock window of cylinder 3. Okay, so this is noise during the window, and this window starts at 5 degrees and ends at 40 degrees after top dead center. So all your intake valves are opening there, and your exhaust valves are shutting in that window. All right, so exhaust valve lash being too loud could cause that too. Just a loud valve in general could cause that. So I have to look at the firing order to figure out which one it is, but whichever exhaust valve is closing during the firing of cylinder 3, that could also be the culprit for the noise. It's not always that cylinder. That's something to keep in mind. It's not always the piston rattling around in there. It often is, but not always. So real quick, I'm going to go to functions. Let me see what frequency I have my knock control set at. We might shift it over a little bit. That's a 12. 12's good. 1 gain, 200. Let's go 13. Just push it to the right a smidge. And then go back and look at that and see if that noise changed any. It went up. See that? It went up. And the knock frequency is usually closer to 11. But this is close to valve train. Look at that. So that might actually be a valve that's closing in that time. Let's go back to our knock control. Let's knock this back down to 11. It was at 12. We'll go to 11 and see where that puts us. Bam, with the other ones. So it looks like we might have a noisy valve, which isn't a bad thing to have a louder valve. Some extra lash is good for oil, but it does make some noise and potentially picks it up. Even then, look, it's still kind of loud. It's still quite a bit louder than the other ones. Let's go. I think I might even have the cylinder 3 turned down some. Oops, not that one. Let's see, level gain. Yeah, I have 3, the lowest of all of them right now. And it's still the loudest of all of them. So something is causing noise around that guy. But this engine's always been that way. Like, that's the old setting from before. It was also that loud, so I don't know. I'm not sure why. Okay, back to what we're doing here. Now that I got 3 back into the range where it should be in normal cruise. I'm gonna take this. I'll make this 0 really quick and see if that can clear it. Okay, back to logging. Actually, no, I want to do this one. No, I want to keep it here. That's where I want to be. All right, here we go again. All right, what do we got? Let's look at that. 3 degrees right here in that spot. Picked up a lot of torque and power right there. That was a lot. So my half a degree was a little too conservative, but that's fine. I'd rather be conservative initially before I go crazy. But on pump gas here, you see this is where we're at. Again, conservative because this is pump gas. That's only 11 degrees at red line. That's 26 and change. Now don't let this little wave fool you. This scale is pretty zoomed in. So like here's 260, here's 266. Like that's hardly a change in boost. I'm gonna call, probably spam. I got 8 spam calls yesterday. It was crazy. Yep, scam likely. Of course. The first red graph, that's on ethanol. That's full ethanol, 27 pounds is what that one is. So the first red graph was 27 pounds ethanol. Actually, it was 70%. 70% ethanol, 27 pounds is what that one was. And that's at the 145,000 limit. That's what that little dip was, by the way. I think I figured that out. That's what the dip was. It was a pull-on duty cycle down because we were at the speed limit of the turbo. And then this green one is where I started that last pull with 30% ethanol and 280 something kPa, which is almost 30 psi of boost, with 1 degree of timing on it, and thus why it was so low. Then I added a few degrees, and now we gained that much torque and power with just a couple degrees of timing. And that's just at peak, right? Because I didn't raise the timing up here. I just raised the timing right here, and it picked that whole section up. So that's what those are. And yeah, what a difference that makes, huh? Just a little bit of timing. Let me get rid of these other ones real quick. Let's hide this one. And hide this one. And look at that. Boop. That was 3 degrees different right here. So, anyways. And again, this is a lot of boost. Yeah, Tier 1 turbo kit. And my cam's on a 2.3. The fact that it spools this 900 this early, that's ripping. That's really good. And honestly, this turbo kit is kind of a Tier 1 turbo kit. They built it. It's not our traditional kit. It's a modified version 2 kit. This is a 2-in-1. This is a factory right now. A factory JDM Forester twin scroll header. So factory Forester twin scroll header with a 2-in-1 up pipe that goes into the version 1 of the turbo kit where the turbo gets nice and low. But you saw that last pull, or the last full ethanol pull there, horsepower was still ripping towards redline, climbing and climbing and climbing. It's pretty awesome. So I'm really surprised that this twin scroll kit is moving as much air as it is. But I like the merge on this one more than any of the aftermarket kits. The merge on the factory header is really, really tight. Those 2 primaries come in super tight, super uniform, look really good, actually. Whereas a lot of the other ones, They merge. It's the same size pipe afterwards. They're cut in. They're in at an angle. There's all kinds of shitty ones. This one has a nice, super tight merge, and it has been really impressing me what it's done so far with the spool and everything. And the fact that horsepower still climbs the red line, you know, like to almost 8K. It doesn't fall off anywhere. That was pretty cool as well. But we'll find out. When we put the bigger housing on there, we'll see how much it falls off. We'll eventually find the limit of this header. And then we have another header standing by to test afterwards as well. So anyway, so I want to show you guys that. I want to talk about those turbo ratings, which we talked about earlier, and about how they're freaking bullshit. Let's review this log real quick. So we had 4.5 degrees of timing here at 4,520, 274 kPa. And then we got up to 11.2 at 7,000. So not a ton of timing. Air fuels, look at that. They stayed in really, really good. And if you look at our total trim, 2% too much fuel. Look at that. So really close. Let's go to my air masses. Look at our air masses. Oh yeah, look at that. There's actually a gap developed this time. So a little bit of gap developing. Probably from the higher boost. When it was lower boost, they were like on the same line. But still, those aren't bad. That's actually pretty close. That one's not so great. Yeah. It's pretty good. I could use some tweak right here. At the lower boost, they were just drawn on each other. This one, the higher boost, definitely made a difference. Let's go with that engine noise and see how noisy it was. It's fine. What's that guy? Short-term knock status. So we exceeded the threshold for a split little second there, and it pulled a half degree, just under a half degree, a third of a degree, and it went away again. It was totally quiet. So you see we're skating that threshold really tight. I put the threshold really tight on this engine, just trying to catch the little noises and protect them. But overall, I would say that's conservative enough to be safe, for sure, on pump gas. Well, this is 30% ethanol. Really, I could probably even do a little harder. But that's not the point of this right now. We're trying to figure out the max of the turbo. And what speed did we get to? Got to 135 on this one. Again, the boost is lower because our ethanol dropped, unfortunately, because they put pump gas in instead of ethanol. I guess what happened was they had a partial can of pump gas and a partial can of ethanol. They thought they were both ethanol, and they put them in the same can and put in the tank. Well, they were fucking wrong. So now I got 30% ethanol instead of 75 to 80. And that's why the rest of this experiment is junk, and I can't show you the rest of it because I had too much ethanol in here. Look down here, we see the boost control solenoid's got a little jiggle right here. A couple percent. Unfortunately, with this setup, because this is a small wastegate, the 38 on this turbo is not happy at low boost. At low boost, it oscillates way too much. A 38 is a high boost wastegate. It's not a low boost, high flow wastegate. And so when I tried to target lower boost, I can't get the boost to be steady. It just oscillates like crazy. Like 1.5% causes a couple pound difference in boost. It's just a nightmare. And you see how low we are here. We're still only 27%. It was just unbearable, but it was too small. It should have been at 45 for the pump gas stuff. But for high boost, it don't matter because it spend more time shut. The 38's no big deal. And that's why it's important to know what you're going to do with your wastegates. This car had two 38s on originally because it was twin scroll. So he used one of his two wastegates to make the single scroll kit that's on it now. And that 138 is not large enough for running just, say, 17 pounds of boost. It has a hard time. It does fine at 14, which is wastegate pressure. It does fine there because there's no control signal to it. It just stays wide open. And then at high boost, it does great because it's a tiny gate and has no problem with high boost. So anyways, the mid boost is where she struggles a little bit. This target boost is a little funky right here. Look at this. Target boost goes up, then down, then up right here. I wonder where that's at. and tweak that a little bit. Power and torque. What's the EMtron says we're making 500 kilowatts. Ooh. 500 kilowatts, it says. That's some poop. No trigger errors, though. Very happy with that. This car's got very clean triggers. Never has an error, never has anything like that.
You ready?
Yeah, what do you want to do?
It's up to you.
Do you want to suck the fuel out of it, or do you want to change cars?
We can suck the fuel out of it if you think you can get it done relatively fast.
Yeah, well, I only want to do a couple things. All right. All right, I'm going to turn the fuel pump on continuously. Not immediately, though. It's going to open on you, dude. Oh, he picked it up. Okay. Okay, turn this off. Turn it back on. And I'll turn the fuel pump on full time so we can get this fuel out of here. In the meantime, I'm going to keep looking at this log here. So fuel's nice and close. I'm very happy with that. (23 Fahrenheit). Well, probably. It's fucking 18 degrees outside. I haven't run ethanol. The air temp goes down to 34. So intercooler's working. Yeah. I'm losing some voltage as the fuel pump runs harder and the injectors are triggered longer and the coils are triggered more. Lose some voltage. That's expected. I don't have oil temp. Engine temperature gets to 200 there. Okay. What else do I want to look at? Drugger wire. It's actually 100. Thank God. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass to get the drugger wire to work correctly. This one's got a Ford throttle body in it, by the way. My cams here, we got 45 degrees down to 5 by 7,000. May benefit by reducing this down. That little bump, I'm able to drop it down sooner and get more power up top. I'll have to experiment with that as I turn the boost up some more. Drop down a little quicker. But the cams are following nicely. That's good. This is my intake cams. And, well, my cams period, but we went bigger this round than last time. And we also get rid of exhaust AVCS. This exhaust AVCS is so problematic on these things. With heavy springs, you start dragging it with you, and we don't want that. So, doing that. Now, this 2.3, I will not be spinning to 9,000. That's never going to happen because I don't think the valve springs are strong enough. I don't think the valve springs in here are strong enough for that kind of RPM with my cams. It makes my cams are so aggressive. I don't think this thing has big enough valves for that, or springs for that. So I'm going to keep it around 82. I think that should be okay. I'll look at the dynagraphs and see what happens with the data as I add boost and as I add RPM to it and see what the power curve looks like. But I'm going to be watching for signs of valve float and all that. But my cams have a pretty aggressive ramp rate, and so they need strong springs, and I don't think this one has strong springs for me to run 9K on it. I think Anton had this add the beehives, and it wasn't enough too, right? Wasn't yours the same thing, Anton? Didn't you have the beehives and it wasn't enough? So the factory spent millions and got something right. Yeah, right. Yeah, this header kicks ass. It's weird. It's the Forester one. It's not the STI twin scroll. It's the Forester twin scroll that came with like the TF035 twin scroll thing, the tiny little super turbocharger. It's that header right now, and it's doing pretty good. It's ripping. Could that be some of the power limit? Maybe, except that the power keeps climbing, and so I don't think so. I think if the power was climbing and then just like flatlined, then we're reaching choke flow with the manifold or something else.
It's not happening yet. It just fucking keeps pulling to redline. I ran into 80-something hundred earlier yesterday, and yeah, it was almost still climbing almost all the way. So it was like 82, I think, is where I went, and it was climbing. You got a jug? Is that jug empty right there behind you?
No,
That was not. Oh, you don't have any jugs back here. Oh, I can hear you. I walked out.
I'm just trying to get the fitting situation figured out here.
Oh, okay.
I'll find something to stick fuel in. Because it wasn't even a full 5 gallons. It was like a gallon in one and like 2 in the other. So.
Oh, so it wasn't even 5 gallons in here? Oh, that's good. At least there's less to pump out.
Still smells like it.
I mean, it's 30%. So there's some in there. I'm going to take a leak. Take off my microphones. I don't need a bunch of fucking comments in the chat that say prostate. My screen.
Get that chat.
You ready?
So it has 2 feeds and they teed off of one. So hopefully.
Oh, yeah, that should work. Which pump is it? Do you know?
No, but just run both of them at 100.
Okay.
And it should have enough smoke to overcome the pressure. Oh, we don't need to run it.
Are they running? Okay, hold on. Oh, you know what? Do this way.
Oh, do you have a air temp sensor on?
How about now?
Yeah, that works.
One is.
I mean, that'll just depend on why back to the regulator. 2 feeds, 1 feed each rail, and then 2 back off. So it's pretty good. It'll just act like ship what's running.
How about now? Is it really going? Is it going more?
Because one switched. I turned it on. I think I turned it on. Say what?
It already feels like it's airing.
Sounds like it is. Who's in there? So it's almost full already?
Yeah. It's about 2/3.
Turn it off for a second. I want to test the other one real quick.
Well, another thing too is like you just pinch this hose off and it'll pull from the other side.
Huh. Oh, here you go.
Use the Venturi.
That sounded like that was it. Is that you squeezing or is that it ending?
That was me checking to make sure they're slow.
Is there any flow left? It sounded like it was out.
I can feel the bubbles in here.
Yeah, so it's out. Okay.
I was just hoping to drain the other side. Yeah, this is about how much we put in there, honestly.
Okay. Mine's got pulse. It was fucking empty, so
It ran out.
almost.
They did a pull it.
No, I never got that far. No. Boost, wastegate, never use Turbo Smart. Yeah, I don't like Turbo Smart. That's why I call him Turbo Shark. Not a fan. My lunch. Meat sticks. That one was jalapeno. At least I think it was. It felt spicy. I don't think it felt jalapeno.
I do like this.
No, it wasn't. It was regular.
Fuel feed system.
I got a regular one. It tasted like jalapeno. I wonder if they fucked it up. Yeah, it was spicy. And the regulars aren't usually spicy. Yeah, maybe.
I think those
The habaneros? The habaneros?
I literally cut like this much off of one and just mix it in with whatever.
Oh, yeah, they're hot as balls, dude.
Yeah, they're hot.
They'll make you cry.
And it's very noticeable. The first time I cut up, like, I took maybe like a 3/4 of an inch off of it and diced it up, stuck it in there. I was like, wow, that's
That's too
almost
much.
unedible.
Yeah.
I mean, enjoyable edible. It's still edible.
You got some of the pickle ones I did, right?
No, I didn't get any.
That's good. You're still alive. Obviously, you didn't. Yeah.
I did not get any.
I have some still, but they were.
You were ripening them on your counter,
Mm-hmm.
and they were just starting to get orange. They're starting to get the little orange tips.
But-
These should be fine.
Mm-hmm. Dude, the pickle ones, within 5 seconds of taking a bite, you instantly regret your decision.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shit. No, that was a mistake.
They're hot as hell.
So you want to get Chase to get real ethanol this time?
They're right here.
That's ethanol?
So he filled up all the jugs. We just like, oh, we can empty this one out, and then you can get it fresh.
Gotcha.
Didn't realize that we just mixed a gallon of pump with 3 gallons of ethanol.
Gotcha. want to know if I find out.
Yeah, NASCAR has like one of the most solid fuel systems in any car.
Yeah, this fuel system is great in this car.
Got 2 dedicated pumps, one on a controller, one on circuit, and then they both go through filters before they go to individual rails.
Yep.
Feed back through a dash 4 regulator, and then do the dash 6 return line underneath the car.
Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite fuel systems that we've done so far. Yeah, the dual filters is pretty cool. This car has two. Are they 450s or 520s?
450s.
It's got two 450s. Each uses the hard line. So one uses the feed hard line, one uses the return hard line. And then they go to two 100 mil 4 filters, which then go to the rails, which then go to the regulator, and the regulator return line is under the car. So low pressure return line. Which is way safer than having a high pressure feed line under the car. Right, you also don't need as big of a line.
And it's also convenient for lines and fitting wise if you run the return line as another feed. And the dual pump hanger is already set up to be connected that way.
How much text messages?
I don't think teeing off that line was any slower than putting the whole jug in here. That was super fast.
What was that?
I said I think teeing off that fuel feed line was faster than me putting this jug in here.
Well, also, it was the feed, not the return. Usually you do the return, and there's a pressure differential across the regulator.
Yeah.
This time you pulled the feed off, and so you just drained it.
Yeah, but I just teed off of it. I didn't even... I stuck a dash 6 male to female adapter for a fuel pressure sensor.
Mm-hmm.
Just stuck a hose barb, 8-inch MPT hose barb in the side where the pressure sensor would go. That's all I did.
Wow. Jason sent me a video. They never bolt the pro hubs down.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Mm-mm.
That's super gay.
That sucks.
Because not only did you just fuck up your race car most likely and anything near it, but you just fucking ruined $100,000 hub dyno.
Dyno, yeah.
Like, throw it in the garbage.
No, I'm sure it's fixable. All right, let's see what we got. Ooh, 56% on the second key swipe.
Yeah, I mean, that was just straight up.
I probably flood the shit out of it, turn the key on so many times.
Yeah. Good to go?
I think they're on a winter blend at the fucking pump.
Huh?
I think they're on a winter blend at the pump.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's 55.
Huh?
It's 55. I don't know what the pump is. I mean, obviously there was some on the other side of the tank still.
Yeah. I mean, I can throw another one on top of it.
Yeah, can you?
Okay.
It went up to 63.
So
This should be enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, I come before you today with an emergency press conference. Hate it or love it has been removed from Instagram. Oh, man. Oh, man. This says audio unavailable on all of my posts. Some of the most tragic things I've ever had. Hate it or love it, that song is gone forever, bud. Dude, we literally just got this t-shirt.
Say what?
Different wastegate springs makes less power on Cletus's lumberjack.
Oh yeah, that was so stupid. It was boost, not power.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's not going to make any more power either.
Right. Ow.
I remember who I was telling that the other day, but I was like, yeah, wastegate, like, if you're trying to overwork a small turbo, wastegate can actually take out power by reducing back pressure.
Yeah, if you put if you lower the boost pressure, which is what they did, right?
Yeah.
You put a lighter spring in it, and the wastegate opens up and lowers back pressure. That's what we do with the rally cars. When they choke out, you just pop the wastegate open, and you gain a lot more power. You gain like almost 500 to 1,000, between 500 and 1,000 more RPM usable on a rally car by doing that.
If they pulled it off Instagram, this joke's on you, bud. Dude, like, you know, we thought Leroy had so much phosphorus.
Yeah.
It was a perfect Leroy.
He also said it was a record-breaking week, and I was like, yeah, because it was rad.
Well, even the first one, you
I
know.
was waiting every day. I was waiting for the upload, and usually I'm like 3 or 4 uploads behind.
I was definitely behind, but all right, I'm gonna get the start fucking ironed out because it's still not quite there. All right, hit the rear fan. Rear fan. Rear fan. Startup. All right, why is she not starting on me now? Let's log it. Let's do it 8. It's doing that dip. It's doing that dip again. Why is it dipping so hard? Okay, so it starts at 6.7. Then RPM starts to come up and drops down to 3. And then it says, oh shit, that was too far, and goes back up again. Crank, crank, crank. Oh, here's where it fires. Right here. And then it drops. Alright, let's go right by where was that at? Yeah, so it just drops to 1.9. And this new firmware update is just really fucking with my chi. And then it just parks at 1.8. It doesn't do anything. So it's way below idle target. Look at that. Here's idle target. Here's speed. And it's making no attempt to bring it back up. And it's not even where it's supposed to be. I hate this firmware update. They have totally fucked up the auto control. Throttle area demand 1.99. Nowhere is that the case. Nowhere in this tune is it said to do 1.98 fucking throttle area. That's so annoying. So just keep adding to it. Fuck it. Make it huge. No, try that. It's way too much air, but I'd rather have it too much than too little. Alright, too much it is. Let's hope it doesn't catch when he's and cause the rev hang when he's driving at some point. Let's find that out. It would try it so much better with this new throttle body on it and the smaller header on it. We had a different header on initially and a way too large throttle body, and man, it was terrible. This is so nice now, so controllable and smooth, but let me tell you, I put a lot of freaking work into it. It was insane how much effort I put into making this thing work. All right, let's get back up to operating temperature. We at 184. That sounds good. Our ethanol is what? Ethanol is 75. Okay. Now we're talking. Now it's time to make some noise. What's up, Steven? Quit distracting lane from inlet. Yeah, that doesn't happen. It doesn't take me to distract lane. That's anything. Squirrel. I wonder if I need to go with the 103 versus 62. Yeah, I mean, if you want the full thing out of your 63, 64, you will. If you want to get all the power they can make out of it, but you know how it goes. You suffer spool losses big time when you go to bigger stuff. So it's just one or the other. It's always a compromise, you know? And like, for some reason, there's a lot of guys that think that there's like magic parts that somehow defy the laws of physics. Like, there's always a compromise. Faster spool or more power. That will always be the compromise. One for the other. Always. You're not getting away from that. saucy rip. That was a good looking rip right there. Dude, fuck your goddamn weather station. Like, it does it every 5 minutes. Yeah. Oh, that's actually hot by a smidge. That's good. That's good. Great. Thank you. I'm glad. All right, let's fucking adjust this, because then obviously. Done. Close. Let's make this higher. 600. Boy, this thing sounds good when you're on it, though. This twin to single header sounds pretty cool. 600. 557. Math, that was a little higher than that. Just laying over there. I think that's my cams, though. My cam timing. I'm going to pull it down to 0, right around this 65.7 mark. That'll be the only change we make, is I'll do a small adjustment. I think that's showing for you guys. Let me see. Is that showing? Yeah. I'm going to do a small adjustment on the cams right here. I'm going to go to 0 and see if it picks it up. In the meantime, though, let's take a look at that boost and turbo speed. Turbo speed hit 147,000 RPM. Okay. And my wastegate duty cycle was up in the 40s, but it wasn't enough. So I got to give it more authority. I got to put it higher on the initial table, actually. It's not the authority, it's the initial table's off. See, my integral's off by 11 right now, and we're still below our target. So basically, I got to add 15 at this point right here. So let's go there first. Let's go to boost control. Go to initial, which is based off my target boost. And I do target boost because that makes it automatically compensate for ethanol. Hello, Doc speaking. Oh, yep, you can go fucking suck a dick.
Hello.
All right. Okay. Let's give it a smidge more. Get like this. As soon as you hear the boop from the computer, you did know it's fucking bullshit. Alright, so let's double check now. So it was at 42 and was low, so we need to be like 45-ish. Alright. And it was. It is now. And then I'll let the closed loop do the rest. Let's see, what about right here? Right here was 35. Adding 5. Okay, so it was 35 there. It needed to be a little higher. It needed to be about 40 at 65. Did I get that? Yep. That's about 40 right there. This was a little low right there, though. Let's do these guys. Oops, too many. Right there, about 40 at 65. That should work. All right, let's hit this log. Okay. So boost was a smidge low. We still have room on the compressor to turn it, but as you can see, we're already 147. We're on ethanol. That's 17 degrees of timing there at 7,600, and 7 at peak boost. Again, now that's 284 kPa. So we're getting up there. Up there in boost. We're not quite at our target. Our target was 313, and we weren't quite reaching that. So this next pull, I should get closer for sure. Back to their timing again. Like I said, so 7 degrees is pretty good. That's pretty conservative. Not trying to pop the heads off this thing. Okay, so that, but I don't make any fuel or timing change, like I said. Just boost, and I want to adjust my cam a smidge. I want to bring my cams down closer to 0 up here. Wait a second. Oh, it is 0. Actually, it dips down so fast at 7. Maybe it wants more. Or maybe we're reaching that header. Could be reaching the flow limit of that header. I thought this was like 5 for some reason, but I didn't realize it went to negative 10 here. So it's actually at 1 degree or 0. It's at 0 basically through this whole region. Starting at 60, right about here. It's 7,000. It hits 0. What's that power curve look like? It starts to fall off a smidge. So maybe. So I'm gonna actually increase my cam timing here. I'm gonna make that more cam timing right here. Set this at 5. And actually, let's do this. I'm gonna do 5 across the way right here. Never let it hit 0, and we'll see what it does. And then I'll cut it to 0 at 6,000 and see what happens. With no other changes. Obviously, then the boost. So these next two will only have these 2 changes. Right, and right here what we're doing is we're balancing compression with overlap. When we advance it, we raise the compression, but we increase the overlap. Increased overlap retains more exhaust gas. In the other direction, we reduce the overlap, so retain less exhaust gas, but we also reduce compression. So it's always a juggle of which one is more beneficial. Usually, on the top end, getting rid of any exhaust retention is superior. But the issue is with a bigger cam that's open longer, then you can lose so much compression that you actually negate any gain you get by having less exhaust gas in there. And so that's what we're doing right now. We're balancing that spot. We're trying to figure out where that point is. What does the engine want? How much back pressure is there? Without an EMAP, I don't know. All right. So let's look at the graph, see what we got. Okay, she made less through this whole range here, surprisingly enough, though, but I didn't change that. Oh, wait, no, this is more. Okay, more. So the boost is higher, but it fell off harder. Okay, and that's probably keeping that 5 in. So we probably need to go to 0 sooner. Go to 0 closer to this range right here. Okay, there we go. I saw the colors backwards. So we gain through here, and that's going to be boost most likely. So let's go check our log. Yeah, so our boost is actually over our target now. So yeah, that's definitely our boost that came in. And we hit 162,000. So we've successfully oversped the turbo, just over 10%. And you'll see here that because of that safety, it pulled down the duty cycle to get the speed back down right there. That's that safety I put in earlier. So it immediately pulled it down. So hitting higher boost was not an issue in the mid-range, thus the gain in the mid-range. But then we flattened the top end because I added too much cam, which we thought was going to happen, but I want to be sure. So now we're going to take this guy, and we're going to go 0 all the way to here. I'm just going to this whole fucking block. Screw it. 0 right there, and we'll see what happens. No other changes. My phone is blowing up, though. What the hell?
Colin.com.
You're so rude, man. I can't leave this conversation? What the fuck? My iPhone was letting me leave a conversation. All right, enough of that. Let's do this. So yeah, Tony, Anton, that's what I was saying. That with the 35-900, the ratings are bullshit. Fans on? Yeah, I see the fans plugged in. But the ratings are bullshit if you don't have everything near perfect. In this case, we're seeing it's the housing, most likely. But we won't know that until I do the housing swap. All right. Look at that. That is a bit of a difference. Let's check our turbo speed first. We don't want to attribute all that to cam timing, but that is going to make a difference. Let's go to boost. Let's turbo speed hit. So we're on that limiter for a ways, that 160 limit I sent in there. See there? We are in that 160 limiter. So we're at 160,000 RPM on this turbo. Boost looks almost the same as last pull, went above, just like before. Our fuel held on strong. Look at that. 8%. It added 8% up top. So it's not doing as good, but it's doing fine. Our pressure is good. Pressure is great. I do like this fuel system. Both injectors. See here we got 86% injector duty cycle on both sets of injectors. So we're basically maxed out 2 sets of ID 1050s. Now think about that for a minute. We maxed out 2 sets of ID 1050s at 608 wheel with no fuel pressure issues. And 608 wheel. So it's 608 wheel, 2 sets of 1050s at 85% with fuel pressure rock steady. Some people try to say that your dyno doesn't read high, it reads the same as a dyno jet. No, definitely does not. On 2 sets of 1050s. Well, we're probably different concentration of ethanol, right? Like that's going to affect it. Whatever the exact concentration of ethanol is going to affect it. So if you weren't quite at this as high of a content, I'm at 75 right now. So if you were at 60, then that would make sense. You can make more, you know, at that same duty cycle. So that makes sense. Or if you're at a higher base pressure, like if you're at 50 or 60 psi base, this one is just the straight 300 kPa base, the same as factory, 42.5 pounds. So if you're at a 50 or 60 base, then you're going to make more power with the same duty cycle. So, but yeah, this is 2 450s in the tank. We use both hard lines, one return line, one feed line, both the hard factory 5/16 hard lines. Go to the front. That goes into 2 fuel filters, 1 in each line. Then they goes to the fuel rails, 1 in each for each pump. Then they wire together in the regulator, right? They go each side of the regulator. Then the return line is under the car, and that goes to the tank. So all the high pressure lines through the car, length of the car, are the hard lines, and then just in the engine bay. Got a GTR controller on it for fuel pump control. Got I think that's it. The glasses are hurting my ears because I got my beanie on. So it's squishing the glass, the metal bar into here. Yeah, so there we go. Now my timing here is only 15 degrees at redline and 6 degrees at 46 at peak torque. Could I get more up top? Yeah, maybe. I could probably throw more timing in it. Do I want to? Not really. I want to make sure it lasts. We're a little short on fuel though. Let's see where air mass looks like. See how much they're separating. Oh, they got even closer. Okay. That's what it looked like yesterday. It's like that with our air masses. So the cam timing helped out with that a bunch. I'm actually really surprised at how much it helped out. I knew it would help, but that was more than I thought it would help. So at 65, we're down to 13, so that's lower than before. So really from 6 and up, it should have been making a lot more power. That made more power below that too. But look at that. That's a nice fat gain. The fact we're making a 608 wheel on that stock Subaru header, I think is pretty fucking cool. Not gonna lie. But she does lay over here at 65. Boop. Now it's flat. And like I showed you before, though, turbo is done at right about 7. Well, turbo's technically done by Garrett standards down here at 6100. And then we pushed it harder and to 60, 62, and you can see how much power it picked up. So that's it, right? I'm not going to push the turbo any harder. And so that is all the power that the sub's going to make, minus if I threw more timing at it. And I could add a little bit of timing on top, probably. That's tough, right? I mean, at redline here, we're at, was it 31 pounds of boost? This is absolute too, so technically it's more than that because we're at 13. We're at 13.5 here for atmospheric in caveman units and SI. So let me do this real quick. So yeah, 92 kPa, yep, that's correct. We're at 92 kPa here all the time. So 315 minus 92.5 kPa gives us 222. So 2.2. So 2.2 times 14.7 is 32 pounds of boost at our atmosphere. So at 32 pounds of boost, I got 15 degrees at redline. That's 7,500. That doesn't seem unnecessarily conservative. Right here, yeah, I think we're doing fine. I do want to add a smidge of fuel to it because we're 8% short. Luckily, like I said, the EMtron does well, and my target is really rich. Look at my target, 784. So lamb target was nice and rich. That helps too. I'm sure that Anton's lamb target might have been leaner as well. What was your lamb target, Anton? Like 8.2 maybe? Two different turbos, the exact same compressor map. Well, I mean, the G30-900 and G35-900 have the exact same compressor map. And honestly, I don't believe fucking anything FP says anymore. They've treated everybody so poorly that I've dealt with. I don't even know if they're telling the truth or not. So, but yeah, you can look at the 35-900 and the 30-900, it's the same compressor map because it's the same fucking turbo, same compressor. So I don't know what he was trying to bullshit himself. But nobody is above the marketing bullshit, that's for sure. So, yeah, just a reminder, Anton, I don't know what your AFR target was. I have it set at 784, which is pretty rich for something like this with ethanol, but I like it that way because at these higher power levels, the mismatch in cylinder fueling is going to become more and more and more apparent. And so I've taken the approach to just run it richer and not leaner. But if I leaned it out some, you could definitely get more power. I would think if I leaned it out some, I get more power, but also I would reduce the chance of the engine living longer. And so I think I could probably throw a degree or two up top. Maybe 325 there, huh? So we went way over there. All right, what's 325? Was that 34? 325 minus 92.5, 2.32. So divide that by 100 times 14.7. That gives us 34 pounds. Yeah, so 34 psi up there for caveman Americans. And then, yeah. Injector duty cycle. So, but fuel pressure, look at that. Boom. It's only a pound or so off. Not even that. Not even a fucking pound off. Look at that. That's good. Works great. No, second injection is great. It's not too aggressive at all. It runs wonderfully. You can't feel it, and it's great. You can see a little blip right here on the AFR. It's a tiny little wiggle, but it's not perceivable, and it's been really good. I could probably knock this down a smidge right here, have it come in a little sooner, right there before it starts to ramp up really quick. But I don't want it to be too gradual, because if you go too gradual with it, the latency plays a bigger part, right? If you go too gradual and you have an issue with the secondary injector, then the engine runs lean enough to get hot before the second injector is missing enough fuel. So, for example, if I blend it in really smoothly and that injector never comes in, then my air fuel goes lean, really slow, and I have time to knock about the engine down. If I have it come in suddenly, right, and that one doesn't come in, then the injector goes lean so fast the EGT can't go up. EGT just misfires. So if I have it too smooth, then I run a higher chance of breaking the engine if there's an issue with an injector. If I run it too slowly, then the latency or the low pulse adder stuff all comes into play, and it's way more sensitive because it's a larger portion of the pulse width. So no, I don't think it's too aggressive.
I had a question on a Speedo.
Okay.
That 08, the 20X car that we just, or I guess it's not a 20X
Darian's car?
Yeah.
His Speedo?
Yeah.
Probably his cluster.
We just put one in it.
Yeah.
Changed. Still doesn't work.
Well, is this doing the same skip around thing?
No.
Because it used to skip around.
Yeah.
And he's
But
on.
it's also a 13 cluster.
What does
not
that mean?
A 9.
Why would you put a 13 cluster in it?
Because we have one in the parking lot.
Oh, well,
Chase is going to go get a 9 right now.
no, the 9 and 13 aren't the same. Because it changes in 11,
Well, it won't start when you put the 13 cluster in.
right? Because the cluster is
if
part of the
you-
immobilizer.
Start it with it unplugged and then plug the cluster in. It works.
Right, yeah. It's,
So if you cluster swap it while it's running, it's fine.
no, that in 11
Okay.
they change. And the CAN protocol changed too, so.
Okay. I thought there was a difference because the security light's actually in a different spot too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So that's why I don't want it to be too gradual. If it's too gradual, then problems don't show up and problems are more damaging. What I could do is actually tell the second one to come in a little harder even, right here, to push it down so the airfield doesn't go lean for a second when it cuts. But that's my reasoning for it. Yeah, it looks like it's actually not aggressive enough. It looks like the primary kick down is too quick and the secondary is not quick enough because there's a bit of that delay. Now, I think we have an injection delay, don't they? Did they take that out? I know they have them before where we could do new injection, on balance, staging. I thought we had the option to do a pulse overlap. Did that come out? I don't see it anymore. I could have swore there was an option for how many pulses to overlap them. I don't see it there. And that's just the balance table. That's it. Okay. Yeah, I thought we had something for that. So at the time, so really I think that's the problem, is that it's a smidge too abrupt, only because we're missing that one smoothing point that I got right here. Because when it activates at 4, it blasts through it. So I could probably do this, just do a 35 here, because 35% fuel, if that injector fails, is still totally fine. And then just do 20 here. That's enough that you most likely will blow through anything that would have caused it to, before it got lean enough for the EGs to go up. It would go lean and EGs would drop. I think that would work. We'll try that. That might make it a little better. It might. We'll see. The other option I have is I could actually go to the secondary injector and bump a little dead time in it. Bump the dead time up a smidge. Just make it a little bit more dead time so that there's a smidge extra fuel going in during the crossover point. That's another thing I could do. Just kind of fake it. In the linearization, for example, we're going to be in the 0 column anyway, so we're immediately going to a higher one. So this shit doesn't really matter. We're never going to be down there because I don't ever have it to the point where it's blending at idle. But I could take the dead time and just add some to it so that there's always a little more than it's asking for. So initially, it doesn't immediately split it in half. There's a little more blend between the two of them. I could do that. And then here, never have it at 15%. So this one doesn't even matter. I can make this 30 or 20. I think I have 20 on the table, but over $4 grand, I don't have anything less than that. So neither of these really matter. I'm doing shit for what I'm doing here. But this is more of a hysteresis thing to keep it from shutting one on and off and on and off and on and off. So I could technically tweak that to get it closer to increase the hysteresis, so there's no issues with that. So say I don't want it ever coming in less than 25. And then if it does come in, I give it till 20. And that there could help a smidge with it, but that's mostly just a hysteresis thing in case we're in between switching points. Comes in, comes off, comes in, comes off. We don't want that to happen. Get the EMAP on the car? Yeah, I would like to, but that's not my call. You know, that's up to the owner as to what he wants to pay for and do and all that. And if he wants to do EMAP, then that'd be great. It'd be nice to know. But I mean, we got turbo speed, and that tells us plenty about the compressor. But yeah, EMAP would tell us more about the turbine side for sure. Tell us. It'd be cool to do it just right to the head, because that gives us like the entire header. Have one in the head, so I get it at the valve, and then one just before the turbo. That would help identify issues between header and turbine housing, because if at the head was higher, well, it's going to be higher than in the turbo. It's typically the way it's going to happen anyways, because the exhaust gets cooler and contracts some. But the bigger that delta, the more we're going to recognize it as being the header versus the turbine housing. So 2 EMAPs would be even more beneficial. But let's take a look at this ECU. I don't know how many inputs we have available. I think we're out of inputs. Let me bring this up so you guys can see it. So you just hit on the EMtron. You saw that thing that I hit, the ECU overview. And then we get on here, and then we see what we got. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there's no 4. So ANVOLT 4 is not being used. That's because that by factory was the math, and I pulled that pin out and stuck in digital. So I could put one on AN 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's no 9. Okay, so that's 2 EMAPs we could add, 4 and 9, or other car stuff. DI 2 and 3 are not being used, but that doesn't affect us any there. And DI 6. That's it. Okay. So yeah, so I got 2 available analogs. I could do 2 EMAPs or add an oil pressure. Oil pressure would be nice. An oil pressure and an EMAP would be nice on those 2. I freed up 2 outputs because I got rid of the exhaust AVCS, so that freed up 2 auxiliary channels, so we could drive 2 more things if we needed to. All the injector channels are used, all the ignition channels are used, and 1, 2, so 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So 11's open as well. So I've got 3 outputs I could use and 2 analog inputs and a couple digitals. So there's still more room in here to add more stuff. Yeah, I think the larger housing is going to add, I'm going to say 75 wheel horsepower. I think it's going to kill the spool by 750 to 1,000 RPM though, which is kind of a shame because this thing comes in hard. I mean, I've got 17 pounds by 4,200. I mean, it comes out of atmospheric pressure. 92 is atmospheric here. So at 25, it's already starting to add pressure. You see right here, I get on the throttle, right? So at 25, it's adding pressure. I've got 9 pounds by 36 and 23, 24, 20, 25 or so by 46. That's ripping. Like, that's responsive. That's coming in. So I think what will happen is this peak here will get moved to here. And I think it'll add 75 wheel. That's my guess. That's my guess at what the 101 housing would do. Because this power level is not much above a 770. Like, it's barely above a G30 770. And so to me, that seems like it's turbine housing. To have it spool this good, it's got to be turbine housing, I would think. Could be the header. That's absolutely possible that it's the header. But we're going to do the housing first. Oh, and switch screens. I'm really good at that. I'm the best at that. That's like my superpower. Here we go. So this is where I was. So down here, I said atmospheric pressure is 92 here. So right here, like 2,500. There's 92. And so it's immediately adding boost. And so here's 34. Here we'll go to 35. 35, that's 158 kPa. So that's about 8 or 9 pounds, with our 92 being case, so it's 8.5 or so. And then by 30, let's go to 4,000, nice even number. So by 4,000, we're at 14 pounds on the money. Well, no, that's not true, because again, we're at higher. So we're at 15.5 pounds here at 4,000. That's nothing to sneeze at. And then by 45, we're at 25-ish. And then, yeah, look at that. And we got 34 pounds. But that's only because the wastegate is not trying to get 34 here, because we could absolutely get 34 pounds right here. But I'm not trying to make that happen because I want the engine to stay together. So I have the boost tapering upwards instead of just jamming it all right here. And all that does is change the shape of the graph, right? The horsepower graph, the torque would be higher through this mid-range here. I could make it 500 wheel torque through this midsection by adding boost down low. But we're really just at that point trying to blow the heads off unnecessarily. So let me change that. So over here, if you look now on the graph on the right, if I added boost down low and didn't taper it in, then this 4,500 thing would go up some to 500. We get 500-ish through this range here if I added more boost. But like I said, now we're just trying to remove heads from block, and I'm not trying to do that. I'd like to go up more. Explains the strange turbo RPM graph. Oh, I don't know about strange, but yeah, it explains why it ramps up and continues to ramp up. Here is when the boost hits, right? It's just coming in, it speeds up really fast, it hits target, and then it's holding that nice ramp. And you can see, I mean, you can look right here, that's probably a really high efficiency island. I bet if we go back right now to that compressor map, we will see it's in a very efficient zone, probably in that mid-70s. And then as we leave that island down towards the 60s, then it's got to speed up a bunch. So let's do that. That's a good little experiment, little thought experiment here. Okay, so this is 135,000 RPM, and we're at 309, and our power at 57 looks like it's right around 520 or so. Okay, so let's go to that compressor map. Let me bring that up on the thing. go back to Chrome, and we'll go to the compressor map for this turbo. Here we go. 135,000. Yeah, that's right here in this zone. Okay, and we said 52 plus we used that 25%. So let me get that, what that would be. 25. Looks like, well, that says 70 pounds. We don't ever hit 70 pounds, do we? Oh yeah, 70 pounds, straight up. Look at that. Right in here. That's exactly where we are. So we pass right through this island, this 75% island. And so, and you can see that behavior because it goes from efficient, and then we dive off of it as we approach this 160. We go like this on this map. So we dive off this efficient island and come down here, and you see that this 65 moves its way up like that, and the 62.5 and the 60s up here. So we drop our efficiency a lot. And you can see that even though our boost is barely climbing, let me switch screens for you. We go back to the EMtron, and you see here our boost is barely climbing, right? Barely going up. So actually, let's go back to that graph again. So we're passing through it in this direction. We're accelerating like this. So we're leaving these efficient zones. We're going up. I'm on the wrong screen. We're leaving this efficient zone, and we're going upwards, and then we're falling back down. So we're going up like this. That's what we're doing, this kind of number. Okay, and you can see that happening because right here, super efficient. And then go back to here, super efficient. The speed's not going it's not going as fast. Then as we leave that zone, it ramps up harder because it's less efficient. So it's got to spin faster and faster and faster to keep this boost going. But yeah, so there's that efficiency island. It's almost the inverse of the compressor map right here. If you flip this over, you would see low efficiency, high efficiency, low efficiency again. I screwed you guys again. Let me go to M-Tune again. This guy. Here we go. So back to the M-Tune. So again, very efficient. It slows, doesn't slow down, but it reduces the rate at which it has to accelerate because everything's been really efficient. And then as it gets less efficient, it's got to accelerate faster. And so this curve would almost be the opposite of the compressor map, right? If you went the other direction, you'd see efficient, less efficient as we're going through there. And you can basically see that on the compressor map. And it caps off there. Boop. So we did reach a limit at 65. What is choke flowing at that? What's the question? So I asked the question, is it not because of wastegate? No, I wouldn't think the external wastegate would have. The external wastegate is controlling the speed. So the wastegate is not the fault of anything. The wastegate is controlling the speed, and the speed required is less because it's efficient. And then later, the speed required is more because it's less efficient, right? And so that's what we're seeing here. The wastegate dips down, right? It doesn't need to go up as fast, right? Because it's more efficient. And then as it gets less efficient, it has to speed the turbo up, so the gate has to shut more aggressively to speed that turbo up through the low efficient zone. Does that make sense? Wastegate controls the speed, but only because based on what the turbo needs. And we're seeing that it needs it based on those efficiency numbers. And remember, the more efficient the compressor is, the less turbine energy is required to spin it. So if I had two flow rates that were exactly the same, like it was 70 pounds, but it had 70% or 60% efficiency, the 60% efficiency spot would require more turbine shaft power to move the turbo to move that air. And that would result in the wastegate being more shut, right, to get that extra turbine shaft power. And so we're seeing that in action on that curve that you're talking about. Okay, I'm done with this car for now. We're going to swap out cars. I got to tune a Legacy, and then we'll put this back on the dyno. We'll swap the housing out. We'll see what it does on the other housing, and then we're going to swap the header out. I want to do it that way first because I want to see what this header is actually capable of doing, and give the turbo its best chance at doing the business that it says that Garrett claims it can do. So right now we can see that it just ain't doing it. Like we're 10% over the speed limit of this turbo, and we're just hitting 608 wheel on this dyno. Granted, that's like 750 or something on some other dynos out there, maybe 800 on other dynos. But regardless of that, we're going to swap that housing out and try and get the turbo closer to those ideal conditions that Garrett claims on their website. And I think Anton wasn't here for that, where I talked about that stuff. So if you weren't here for the Anton, go back to the beginning of the stream, which is right at the very beginning. I pulled up the graphs and I talk about the stuff that Garrett says and all that. And then once we identify that we've given the turbo itself its best chance of hitting it, we're not going to do the 120, which obviously would be the best chance at the 120. We're going to do the 101 or 103, whatever it is. So we'll see what it does. And then from there, we'll determine if the header is the restriction, and we'll put a bigger header on it. We have another header that's got bigger primaries. I don't like the merge. The merge is not as good as the merge on this one. It's steeper. It's not as gradual of a merge as the factory one. And so we'll see. We'll see how much that changes the shape of the power band after we change the housing. Luckily, if Matt's watching this, make sure you say thank you to Matt for letting us do this to his car and do his experiments. I'm happy to share with you guys the timing curves and all that too, so you can see that I'm not trying to lift heads off motor. 6 degrees up here, and only 15 at red line. So we're trying to get data, and adding a bunch of time into it might skew the data. I'm not going to change anything else from here on out. Nothing's getting changed unless it just absolutely needs it. Like it gets too lean outside of what the ECU can cover for fuel, then I'll add some fuel to it. I'm not going to change wastegate duty cycle. It's going to go a lot higher, or the duty cycle should drop for the same power level. We'll see that. Say we'll put the new housing on. If the boost starts to oscillate, then I'll knock down the initial duty cycle to help it stabilize or something like that. Because that's going to affect, everything's going to be affected a little bit. But my goal is to change as little as possible and just change one component, just the housing, and then not change the tune, see what it does. And again, if I make a small change, I will. But nothing to fuel or spark, none of that. That's not the plan, or cam timing or anything. Just swap the housing, see what happens, and then swap the turbo or the header and see what happens. So that's it. Anyways, I got to tune a 2005 Legacy GT automatic with a VF and stock everything. So that one is going to be a total nail biter. It's going to be the most exciting tune that I've done all week, and I can't wait to do it. Sarcasm strong, but I gotta tune the other cars too. I don't need to be gatekeeping the car pleasures by saying I'm not going to tune your shit. So I'm going to do it, and we're going to see how it runs. But I'm not going to stream it because it is not going to be entertaining nor exciting. So I'll see you guys around when we get the other housing. I will let you guys know. I'll do another stream, and we'll do the housing and the header, like I said, and we'll see how it all behaves. So, ChatGPT. No, I'm not having anybody tune anything but me, because ChatGPT gets almost everything wrong. Like every question I've ever answered has been incorrect, and almost everything it responds with is incorrect to some level or another. So. Definitely do not trust it. It can't even write programs. Like it tried to rewrite it itself and didn't do that right. And it can't even write computer programs right. Every time I've asked ChatGPT to try with computer programming stuff, it has never worked. It has never compiled. It has never worked. It's always been crap. So yeah, I would never do that to somebody's car. So anyways, appreciate you guys hanging out. And that is it for today. I'm going to go and get this car with the dyno and we're going into the car. So thanks a bunch. Have a good weekend. I will not be tuning Friday because I'll be working on my BMW. I got another BMW for the wife because we're going to trade her Blazer in, or turn her Blazer in at the end of the year. So I want to get this other thing fixed because it's got some issues and all of that. So let me see. What do I have tomorrow? Oh, no. And tomorrow's another automatic low horsepower car, so I won't be streaming that either. So nothing else for the rest of the week. Unless I post up some other videos of some other things I'm doing at home. I use Bader's YouTube channel to learn how to tune. All the numbers are wrong. 1,000 wheel. I totally approved on the drag strip. Runs a 10.8. Like, yeah, dude, that's takes 5.25 to run that. So yeah. Anyways, I don't want to talk shit on my channel. I don't want to do that, and you made me do it.